Chase Daniel, co-host of the Athletic Scoop City podcast, host of the Chase Daniel Show on YouTube, and co-host of The Facility on Fox Sports 1. Chase joining us from his car, driving through Los Angeles. How would you describe what it's like driving through Los Angeles right now?
I'm on the 10 right now and trying to get to work. Fox is about 6 miles from Pacific Palisades. Also, there's a huge brush fire going in Pasadena. But I'm going through downtown LA right now. Traffic, a ton of smoke, maybe some fog, but it smells. I mean, I started smelling smoke about 10 miles south of downtown LA. So just trying to get through this, it's a lot worse than probably what people think. Pacific Palisades, one of the premier neighborhoods in LA. I mean, it's just burned to the ground. It's going up to Malibu right now. Just a really scary thought for a lot of these people. 30,000 people already evacuated, and it's 0% contained. And the crazy thing about it, Dan, is there's 99-mile-per-hour wind gusts.
Yeah.
And so that's the difficult thing here for these firefighters trying to contain it.
Yeah, I was live texting with somebody who lives in the Pacific Palisades over by Riviera, and he was evacuating. He said, you don't even know where to go. He said, I don't know what direction.
That's the thing. Exactly. And there's some road closures around, so we're having to do that. But my wife and I literally were in Pacific Palisades Village. The whole thing is burning, and the houses were burning. We were there this weekend. We did a staycation up from San Diego where we live, and just saw it for the first time and was just amazed at how nice it was. I think it was built in 2018, and it's just completely devastated right now.
I'll make the awkward segue so we do talk some football here. More surprised that Jerod Mayo was fired or Antonio Pierce?
For me, I think it was Jerod Mayo. I think that was a surprise firing of the cycle. Look, I don't agree with it either. You bring him in. What did you think was going to happen when you draft Drake May? Your entire team, really, your offensive weapons, not where you want it to be. Look what Belichick did in his last season, and you have this coach in waiting term for him that he's had for a while, and you just give up on him for 1 year. It doesn't make a lot of sense. And you don't even start Drake May at the start of the season. I think things could have been different. They're like, oh, he's not ready. Well, he's played exceptionally well, shown some growth. This firing to me is two things. One, I guess that Robert Kraft and the Patriots didn't like the progression and the developmental plan for Drake May. Mm-hmm. And two, it just screams Mike Vrabel. And so it looks like, who knows what direction they'll go. I just think he got the raw end of the deal, in my opinion.
Yeah, but then Antonio Pierce gets fired, which I wasn't surprised. I thought Tom Brady's fingerprints are going to be all over this franchise, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. That was the one, you go 5-4 as an interim coach, and I think they were 4-13 or something like that. It comes down for me with the Raiders and Tom Telesco, which I like Tom. They didn't get a quarterback this past year. They could have easily had the ammo to move up to get one of the top 6 guys. I mean, look at what Bo Nix has done, right? They end up with Brock Bowers. I understand that. But, I mean, this definitely has Tom Brady's fingerprints. He's going to have a say in the next head coach. So then you look at who's out there for him. It's like, oh, well, Vrabel as well. So it just seems like Vrabel's name keeps coming up everywhere.
Well, give me the best opening right now.
For me, I'm a huge Chicago Bears fan. And I like what the Chicago Bears have done. I like what they have on defense. I like what they have on offense. They got to get Caleb playing well. But one of the main openings that I think actually would attract some people, and you're going to think I'm crazy for saying this, is the Patriots' job, because you do have your franchise quarterback. I would argue that Drake May, along with Jaden Daniels, are probably the top 2 quarterbacks that have developed throughout the entire year. They have their guy in Drake May. I fully believe that. And they have a lot of cap space to spend in free agency. So it depends on who they get, but I like both of those. I'd probably lean Patriots for me.
Do you have to have an offensive-minded head coach? Like, what's more important to a quarterback's development, your offensive coordinator or your head coach?
No, I think it's your head coach. There's no
really?
There's no more important relationship, in my opinion, based on the teams I've been and the Hall of Fame coaches I've been with, and that relationship between a head coach and a quarterback, right? I just have said this always about defensive head coaches, and I've been with few. I've been with two of them, Brandon Staley and the guy in Detroit who got fired, Matt Patricia. Everything is the quarterback's fault when it goes wrong, or everything is the offense's fault, right? And I think that when you have an offensive-minded guy, he protects the quarterback a little bit. So when you have these young quarterbacks and when stuff doesn't go right, I've just seen things go awry when a defensive head coach takes over because it's never their fault.
We're talking to Chase Daniel, co-host of the Athletic Scoop City podcast, also the Chase Daniel Show on YouTube, which is great. He breaks down more film probably than anybody, and co-host of The Facility on Fox Sports 1. Speaking of breaking down film, I'm curious what if the Ravens go back and look at what Lamar did or didn't do these previous playoff appearances, and you're going against a familiar opponent here. What do you think the Ravens will do differently or Lamar differently to get them past that first round?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. And everyone knows, Lamar Jackson's career playoff record, 2-4, 9 touchdowns, 9 turnovers in his career in the playoffs, a 1-to-1 ratio. He was at a 5-to-1 ratio this year, Dan. For me, when you're playing a team for the third time, and I've done it a few times in my career, stuff gets weird. It gets interesting. You know them. The Steelers know you. I would love to see Lamar get out of the pocket early in the game and make them respect his legs. And I know you're like, Chase, you ran for almost 800, 900 yards. I get that, but I think when you get into a game where you know each other, they're going to have a great plan defensively, the Steelers are. I think if Lamar uses his legs early, I think it's going to get them off kilter, and then it'll open up the pass game. And then obviously, Derrick Henry, over 1,900 yards rushing. I think that is a big part of their deal is like control the football, play some smash mouth football. You know how this is in the AFC North. I think this game will actually be closer than people think. I know the Ravens are playing really well as of late, and the Steelers obviously 4-game losing streak, but I think this will be close.
Chase, there's a lot on the line here, and some of it is just the perception. Some of it could mean changes. John Harbaugh hasn't been successful in the postseason recently. Mike Tomlin hasn't been successful recently. Lamar hasn't been successful recently. Russell Wilson's trying to hold on. I mean, there's a whole lot of storylines in this game.
I mean, there really is. And I think the biggest one and what we've been talking about, and I was the biggest proponent when Russell Wilson was 6-1, I said, hey, let's re-sign him right now, and then all of a sudden he's like, okay, 0-4, a couple big red zone turnovers as of late. You can't point the finger right at him. I think that's a big storyline. How does Russ play? If Russ doesn't play well, do they look behind door number 2 this year for the quarterback? We had a conversation on the Fox show, The Facility. Hey, is Mike Tomlin on the hot seat? And I was like, no. And the more you think about it, well, I mean, sometimes this might be good for a change. I'm not saying that he's not one of the best coaches out there, but it could be time for a change. And then everyone knows the Lamar thing. I think that's easily the number one storyline in this game is like, Lamar, you put up, really, you could be an MVP again this year. You could be a 3-time MVP, although I think Josh Allen will win it. You could be an MVP. If you go 2-5 in the playoffs, what is your legacy like? I think that's a great game for storylines. You hit them all, man.
All right. Before I let you go, give me the surprise this weekend. There's going to be a road team that's, well, maybe even a home team like the Rams against the Vikings, but you got a surprise for me?
I would not want to go into Tampa and play the Bucs offense and Liam Cohen and what they're doing because they are playing really well. I think a team that can do it, though, is Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. Even a rookie on the road, and we all know what Philly did last year, laid an egg in Tampa. It's just a weird place to play in the playoffs, but Baker's having the best year of his career. I wouldn't be surprised if Dan Quinn has some good defensive-minded strategies to help slow down Baker, and then I think Jaden really balls out with his legs. I think Zach Ertz catches a touchdown. I think they might win on the road.
More importantly, safe travels this morning. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you soon, Chase.
Thanks for having me on, Dan.
Chase Daniel, co-host of the Athletic Scoop City podcast, also host of the Chase Daniel Show on YouTube, and co-host of The Facility on Fox Sports 1.